McCaslin from Mills Park Middle School, right here in Wake County Public School System.
I hate microphones. I'm pretty loud. Actually, the other day I had a student say that they wanted to know who the teacher was with the bullhorn in the hallway, and the other student looked at him and said, that's not the bullhorn, that's Miss McCaslin. So, microphones are over. I have a script, but I think I'm going to go Bonita style and maybe go off it a little bit. Yep. So, but I was told I needed to write something out because I can be a little long-winded. So, I just want to tell basically my story today. We all can stop and think about that one teacher that has impacted us. And for me, that happened very early on in my career. In second grade, I had Miss Peggy Alexander as my teacher. And Peggy Alexander was in her final year of teaching after 30 plus years as an educator. And most people would think that somebody at that state checked out. But she taught with as much charisma and enthusiasm that year as she did for all 30 of her years in education. And it was that year that I went home and told my mom and dad, I'm gonna be a teacher just like Miss Alexander. And, when you're a second grader, like, okay, great. And they kept telling me, you can do other things if you want, but I just always wanted to be a teacher. And I got that chance in 2003. I moved here from Pittsburgh, go Steelers, and got a job in Southeast Raleigh in a school that can have some challenges, but it was the best thing that happened to me to start out there. And I wanted to thank Mrs. Alexander for pushing me to that point. So after my first year teaching, I looked her address up and I sent her a class photo with me in my first class. And I wrote to her about the impact that she had had on me. Well, she got that and tried to figure out how to find me. So she looked in a phone book and she found my parents' address and phone number, which is still the same because they've lived there forever. And she called them, and then they put her in contact with me, so I got to have this amazing conversation with her after all those years. And I realized at that point that teaching is not about content, that it's about your relationships with students, with admin, with coworkers. And I decided that that was going to be my focus. I was going to work on being somebody else's Peggy Alexander. So those first few years were, like I said, a little tough. But I was fortunate, year 7, I got my first Peggy Alexander moment. I had a student in 3rd grade, very brilliant, victim of her circumstances. And I would tell her all the time, she didn't want to be an AIG. She said, that's where the dorks go. I said, no, you deserve it, you should be there. She's like, it doesn't matter, Miss McCaslin. It's not like I'm going to college or anything. I said, well, why not? It's not what my family does. We don't go to college. I said, you're going to college. Talked with her for a few years and then lost touch with her. And then about year 7, I got a phone call at school from her. I couldn't talk, obviously I was teaching. Called her back and she was so excited to tell me that she was going to be going to the Wake Young Women's Early College. And she was so thrilled that she was going to be getting that degree. And I was just so proud, not of me, but of her and the fact that she persevered through some really difficult circumstances. I have a lot of moments like that. I had another student call a couple years later who had struggled a lot. He stopped showing up to school one day and I wanted to know why. So I did some investigation and it turned out that they had been evicted from their home and the bus was no longer bringing him to school. So I picked him up the next morning and I did every day after that until school year ended so that he could be there because he needed to have a safe place to go. And he called me just to thank me for never giving up on him. He wanted to let me know he was doing something with his life. So those are moments that get you by as an educator. That was when I was in elementary school. I taught 10 years in elementary school before I went to middle school. And I am fortunate because I had people in my life that propelled me to where I am. In the beginning of my career, I was fortunate enough to teach with Deborah Hall, who I am so thankful for having her in my life. She, after reflection, I've realized that she really is the root of all of my successes. She was a Keenan Fellow way back when nobody really knew what Keenan Fellowships were. And I was like, oh, what's that? I want to do that. And so I applied, and in 2012, I was named a Keenan Fellow. She's also the person that pushed me to go to grad school, which I just graduated from in August. She's the person that nominated me for this today, so thank you for all of your support. Where am I? Okay. So, my work with Keenan really is what put me on the path to science. I was very excited about it. I was teaching 5th grade at the time, and I decided that I was going to start doing STEM Fridays. And it was a huge hit, and it was amazing. And I did that, and then I was like, you know what if I could just teach this all the time? So the middle school across the street was hiring a 6th grade science teacher. I was like, yes. So went over there, and since then I haven't really looked back. I've been teaching science since then. I taught 6th grade, and now I'm in 8th grade. And I continue to want to learn more about how to be a better teacher. I was very fortunate that 5 years ago, I was accepted into a summer program called Summer STEM. If you don't know about it, look it up. And it really did change my whole passion and my path for teaching. And I must really enjoy it because it's called Summer STEM, meaning I have to go to trainings in the summer for a week. And yeah. But I'm fortunate that the people running it, Teresa Pieri, Paul Domenico, they made you want to be there. And it really just showed me that I can do so many things with my class. I came back to school, and I'm always that one that's like, hey, I got an idea. And I came back to school, and I fortunately have very supportive administration. Mr. Rayford, who had to leave, Mr. Warwick, who is here, John Warwick is here for today as well, who, when I come up with these crazy plans, they're like, okay, go for it. They give me that opportunity to fail forward. And I'm very fortunate for that. I'm fortunate to be in a school where that's a possibility. And so I've taken on this task of becoming a teacher that is using project-based learning and really shifting the focus from me lecturing to the students investigating. And I work with a lot of community leaders, bring people in, we Skype with people in Yellowstone. We work closely with the museums. And I try desperately, and it's always been my passion, to make sure that the kids understand there's a reason that you're learning what you're learning. It's not just because it's on a piece of paper and they say we have to do it. So everything we do is real world. There's always a problem that needs to be solved. And I work really hard to make that happen. One of my other crazy ideas was our school was relatively new when I was there, and I decided I want to start a Science Olympiad team. I had no idea what I was getting into. And the principal said, sure, go for it. Tell me what it's all about. And I did. And that first year we had 40-something kids come out, and I can have 18 compete. But I did 2 teams, so I had 36 kids. We basically took everybody that tried out. It was great. We went to states first year. Very shocking. We were not expecting that. Well, word started to grow. Fast forward, this year, I had over 130 students apply for our Science Olympiad team. And I had to whittle that down to 36. But it just shows the passion. What I love the most about it is that my students on Science Olympiad are actually coached by my former Science Olympiad students. My kids who graduated, went to high school, they all want to come back. I think I actually have more coaches than I do participants. Like, people are emailing me, I want to coach. I'm like, okay, I don't have any more events. Last year for one of the events, I had 5 coaches and 4 students. So, but they love it. It gets them, I can help them with their service hours, and it's great to see those kids taking that leadership role with the other kids. So, unfortunately, my family cannot be here. My parents, like I said, in Pittsburgh. My boyfriend is in the military and is deployed right now. So I am so thankful to have my family, is what I call them, here with me today. So I could not do what I do without Mary Catherine Baker, also a phenomenal science teacher, and Catherine O'Connor, who is an amazing guidance counselor, and Abby Wood, also a phenomenal high school science teacher. Also, Kristana Rogers is here. She is our head of secondary science in Wayne County. So fortunate that we have somebody like her that is here and able to support us and I can email her and she emails me right back, like when I don't know what my session is supposed to be. So it's really hard to sum up 17 years and all that I've done in 3 to 5 minutes. So I can't possibly imagine what it would be like for somebody like Peggy Alexander to stand up here and try to summarize 30 plus years. Maybe I'll know someday. But she really continues to inspire me. And I looked her up last year trying to reach out again, and unfortunately she passed away in 2018. So that was a little difficult, but made me wish that I could have had that one more conversation with her, but I'm also so glad that I was able to have the one that I did have with her. My goal now is to just continue her legacy, and every time the kids call me or a student comes back to see me or I get invited to high school graduation, I think of her, and I just hope that one day I can be their Peggy Alexander and they'll do the same for me. Thank you.